Go for Side Effects is sponsored by Wild Branch Products. Wild Branch is a truly pure cannabis oil. They make CBD containing 0.00% THC and no carrier oils. Use Wild Branch oils and salves to calm, cool, and soothe your body, leaving you pain-free. I can tell you, using this product, I was able to go to Santa's Wonderland with my family. I put on a salve. I used the oils. I was able to walk for hours. I believe in this product 100%. Use promo code GWI podcast for 15% off. Use promo code GWI podcast for 15% off. Click the link below. Thank you. Welcome to Go For Side Effects. I'm your host, Kevin Simon. Today, we got a group of Army men and women that served in the 593rd and 516th Signal Company. I'm going to welcome each and every one of y'all. How are y'all doing?
Hey, Kevin.
Doing great.
All right. So, Jeffrey, you're the one that got a hold of me. Please introduce everybody.
Okay, sure will. So my name is Jeffrey Collins, and like I said, I was with 593rd Signal Company, and we have Jimmy Nelson, Sid McAllister, Blaine Berg. Sorry, Blaine, I spaced your name for a minute. Mitch Mitchner, and then we have Tiffany Chavez from 516th Signal Company. We all served together during Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm. We were located in Saudi Arabia. I think a couple of guys might have been in Iraq. And then a couple of us went over to Bahrain after the war. Wow. And from there, I'll kind of let you do your thing.
All right. So this hasn't been done before with this many people on a podcast at one time, but I'm more excited for the fact that all y'all were pretty much together the whole time in different areas, but y'all were still together. Y'all all served. Y'all know each other, and you still keep in contact, which is fantastic. And so each individual, I'm going to start with Jeffrey. I just want to know when y'all went in and how long you served and where you were, your home station base was.
Okay. So I joined 1987 when I was 17 years old. Went into, Fort Jackson, did AIT at Fort Gordon. Spent 2 years in Germany over 97 Signal Company, 97 Signal Battalion with a NATO unit. And then after that, I went to 593rd Signal Company, 86 Signal Battalion, 11th Signal Brigade in Fort Huachuca, Arizona. And spent about a year and a half there. And like I said, we wound up after August 2nd happened, they locked us down shortly after. And then I think we deployed right at the end of October, 1st of November. I think Sid, myself, Jimmy, maybe a couple others. I'm not sure about a couple of the others, but we took C5s over to Dover. From Dover, we went to Spain. We flew to Dhahran, and then we went to Escom Village in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and we set up our company there, and kind of went from there, set everything up, and waited for the rest of our equipment to arrive.
All right, well, Sid, let's go with you. When did you join?
About the same story Jeff had. I joined the Army in 1987, Fort Jackson for basic. Spent 8 months at Fort Gordon because 36 Lima AIT was 8 months long. Headed over to Germany, did 2 years there, 34th Signal Battalion, 93rd Signal Brigade. Actually went on PCS leave just before Saddam invaded Kuwait, and I'm sitting at home watching this unfold on CNN. And my mom's sitting there going, well, you're going to have to go. I was like, I don't know. Got to 593rd Signal Company at Fort Huachuca, and we didn't have a lick of equipment in the motor pool. We had a tow truck, we had a switch, we had maybe a shelter, and the two companies hadn't even been activated.
Nope.
The rest of the brigade starting to get deployed. 505th was already on ground in Saudi Arabia. And then I think it was October, they put us on 30-minute recall, said, we're going. And next thing you know, we're running equipment through paint booths, turning it into sand color. We jumped on C5s and off we went. And y'all remember sitting in Madrid, Spain for 24 hours waiting for them to replace an engine on our C5?
I remember
One
being
of
there.
them.
I do.
Yeah,
Damn.
Yeah.
we were there for a while.
We landed in Riyadh, and 593rd was supporting Army Central Command, so we had to come up on comms real quick. So we didn't waste any time once we hit the ground.
Wow, that is fantastic. So, Tiffany, go ahead. I'd like you to kind of get into when you joined, and you're amongst a group of guys that I'm sure you ruled the roost, right?
I was pretty sassy back then. I joined when I was 17 in 89. I turned 18 in basic training, and I went to Fort Dix, New Jersey for basic in November, December, and January. I grew up on the beach in Florida, so obviously that kind of snow was a shell shock for me. And then I went to Fort Gordon for 31Q. And then I left Fort Gordon and went to Keesler Air Force Base for, I think it was it Yankee 10, Jeffrey? And that's how I met Jeff.
I believe it was
First
Yankee
being-
10 or
Yeah,
Yankee
Yankee
6.
10.
It's been a while.
I was thinking it was Yankee 10 Delta 6.
That's Yankee 10 Delta 6. That's it.
Yeah, and then I went to Fort Huachuca, and I went into the 526. I was going to be in the 516th, but like they said, when I went into 526, 516th didn't even have a building yet. And then when they moved over to 516th was not being deployed, and I had to go before the board and get permission to go back to 526 so that I could even deploy, because my unit was not deploying. And then I went over and I was there probably almost a year. And then I went over to Bahrain, and I spent time with Jeff over in Bahrain too. And then I came back and was stationed at Fort Huachuca again.
Wow. Blaine, it's your turn. And I'm still mad at you for not braiding your beard. I'm just telling you.
Sorry. I was a busy guy right up until the last minute here. So I have very similar to Sid. I joined in 87, Fort Jackson, went to Fort Gordon for our AIT. We were in the same class together. But I also went to Germany, but we went to different installations. I was around Darmstadt. I don't know where it was, Stuttgart or something. And then we came back to Fort Huachuca 2 years later. And yeah, very similar situations, when Saddam invaded Kuwait. And then I called the unit, and it happened to be the first sergeant, Lusk, was the acting sergeant major of the brigade at that particular time. And I called, and I told him, hey, I'm supposed to report. Do I need to come early? And he's like, just enjoy your leave. When you get here, you get here. So did all of that, and then deployed. The whole thing with the C5 had the bad engine, and we had to wait in Spain. And then after coming back from, we did our thing there. After we came back, I stayed in. I had too many units to go into, but then in 7 and 8, I did a 16-month tour over in Iraq, and finally retired out of Fort Lewis here in Washington State, and retired in 09 after 21 plus years. So
Congratulations.
thank you.
Congratulations. Mitch, are you ready?
Yeah. Well, I've got a totally different story. I went in end of 83 and didn't leave till September of 84. I went to Fort Dix. Then I went to Fort Hood, 1st Cav in, 86. No, hold on, 85, March 85. And then I left there in September of 86 and did my first tour with in Korea with 44th Engineers. Liked it so much that I stayed an extra year till the end of 88. Got to see the Olympics. What else? And then I re-enlisted Camo. Biggest mistake I ever did.
Yeah.
We already had this talk, me and Berg earlier. I was telling how much I hated Camo. But I was a cable dog, so it was different.
Wow.
Yeah, we were scumbags. Cable dogs were scumbags, but that's okay.
No, I'm not even going to go there.
Oh, let's see what else. Was in with 593rd. Now I joined 593rd in April of, would have been April of 90 after my third tour, basically my third tour in Korea. And at that time, there was no companies. Well, there was the companies kind of, but the buildings were down by the gas station, and me and a couple of other guys were the ones that built it. And then I in-processed a lot of these guys to Fort Huachuca. Jeff, I drank with you down in Mexico, me, you, and Tyree.
We did.
I mean, and then I went to now I was on the advanced party, so I left in August. Around the 15th, I was with the 11th or 86 signal. What they call that? You guys remember Task Force 86?
Okay, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, and we left in August, and we landed in Riyadh, and I've wired up buildings in Riyadh, Dhahran, KKMC, and a couple other places. And matter of fact, you guys, Sid, you probably know this. When I came back to the unit after they got there, since nobody else knew how to splice, I was the one that spliced the mainframe upstairs in the building.
There at Ascon Village at the schoolhouse.
Yes, upstairs. Remember, we put it on that piece of wood. The
Yep,
phone.
26 pair.
Yep, right there in the war room.
Yep. Yeah, that was all wired by me and McClin and Ritter. But nobody knew how to splice that shit except for me. It was a trip. But the only reason I learned that is because of those guys that I left with the advanced party on. They showed me how to do that, all that stuff.
All right, man. All right, Jimmy.
Cool.
Let's hear it.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I wish my memory was that good. That's a lot of good stuff. Basically, all you got to do with me is take my name and copy and paste it right on top of Jeff's of his synopsis. Because basically, we met actually at the MEP station in Atlanta.
Yep.
And we were in the same place from that moment on all the way till we ETS. So everywhere Jeff said that he went, that's where I was. Every single unit, basic, AIT, unit over in Germany, 97th, which I really miss.
That was fun.
And yeah. And it's funny, I was young and dumb, and I complained about not having MTV and all the stupid crap back home. But then when I left, I've missed Germany ever since. And basically the same unit in Fort Huachuca with 86 and 593rd. And yeah, when we showed up, the company had a name, but we were showing up for formation and civilian clothes and just being dismissed.
I forgot about
okay,
that.
go do something, whatever. And it was real close to invasion time when we finally started building things up. And it was like went from, like I said, showing up in civilian clothes and just doing nothing to all of a sudden, driving freaking all these shelters up into the back of C5s and going to Saudi Arabia. It was a trip. And we got back. We all came back to Fort Huachuca about the same time. Damn near got killed crashing and freaking Spain, I believe it was.
Yeah, Rome, Italy. Yeah,
Rome. Yeah, Italy. Yeah, that was it. One of them countries over there.
right.
And of course, after that, once we got back, they just turned us loose, and we were just running around acting crazy, having a good time, and it was about time for me to out process. So I really didn't do anything when we got back except just run around act crazy and then out process and leave, drive home.
When did you get out, Jim?
I got out. It was September 91.
Okay.
Around the 9th. Actually, it was August because, we had that 30 days leave built up, and she just, got out a month early. So yeah, it was actually around the 9th of August.
Now, did any of you guys do the convoy? I did the convoy where we drove the trucks from Fort Huachuca to the docks in LA.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you went to Hollywood and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I drove my 5-ton and my generator with my van on the back of it, and then my generator behind it, where we slept like on top of our trucks in a fairground or something.
Oh, that would be exciting. And see, that's
Always the
why
best
I
for our
joined the
guys.
Navy right there. That's the whole reason I joined. I
You
may
knew you were
have-
going to sleep that night.
yeah. All right, Jeffrey, let's get into talking about the stuff that y'all saw out during the Gulf War, the smoke,
Okay.
what y'all were exposed to. I want to get into a little bit of that.
Okay, you bet. So, if you don't mind, Kevin, I'm going to back up just a hair and kind
Go
of
ahead.
go back over. I know that this show is for veterans and also combat veterans and stuff like that. So, I'd like to emphasize that, not just combat, creates problems in the military. You have MST, which is a huge issue. Still is now. It was back then to a degree. I don't think it was nearly as bad, or it was more concealed. But I think it's worth noting that Jimmy and I were basically training together, and we had a guy committed suicide. He blew his brains out, and we saw him with his head wide open, and his brain out, and his the brownish stuff coming out and everything, and the drill sergeants, I don't think they knew how to act, so they were pretty tough about it, saying this is not this guy's helmet because this one doesn't have a hole in it, stuff like that. And, we also, when we were in Germany, we had August of 89, the Ramstein air show was going on. Excuse me, August of 88, I think. Air show was going on. It killed 70 people, and a lot of us were there, and we, kind of saw the trauma from that. And then in December 21st, 1988, when Lockerbie, Pan Am Flight 103 was downed in Lockerbie from a terrorist from Libya. We had 3 people from our battalion that were on that plane. And it, those things impact you, and they have an impact in your life, and they make you realize, especially when you're 18 years old, that what you're doing is high risk. There's a lot to it. And I think that we need to emphasize that you don't necessarily have to be in a combat zone to have experienced a lot of things in the military that can cause problems later on in life.
Oh, that's very true. That's
I think it's worth mentioning, because I think maybe people don't really realize that. But as far as what it happened to us, we got in Escon Village. We set up, we built the barracks up, and we put up sandbags and everything. And then we actually, for us, we deployed December 26, 1990, and Jimmy and I went to a site called Kilo Romeo 11. And we were there. And let me back up just a little bit too. I apologize. In Escon, we ate food where we would vomit and have diarrhea and stuff because we were eating food. I found out later on, it's called Escon disease, where we were actually drinking contaminated water, where Escon originally was built so that the Bedouins could bring their falcons and hunt pigeons. And of course, when you have pigeons, you're going to have cats. So these water tanks they had that were in the village had contamination from dead pigeons, dead cats, stuff like that. We were drinking this, not realizing that. And then the food, we got sick from the food several times. Where, like I said, I know I personally, was vomiting and had diarrhea multiple occasions. So it wasn't the greatest environment, as far as not everything was clean. We were able to take showers every day, but not everything was clean. as far as the food we were getting from contractors. Our clothes, when we would get our BDUs washed, we'd get them back. They'd smell like mildew. They wouldn't smell clean. They sometimes smell like gasoline, like they not heavy, but you could smell the gasoline, like they had used the water from something that probably shouldn't have been, had detergent in it to wash clothes. And then when we were out, at Kilo Romeo 11, the first night of the war, Jimmy and I, and we had 13 people on our site. We were hit real heavy with Scud missiles and Patriots. And we were about about 2 miles from our air base.
I think it was about 3 clicks.
Okay. Yeah. So pretty close to an air base. And when we could look over and see it from where we were. And they were trying to hit the air base, and the Patriot battery didn't know where we were. So they fired to take the Scuds down, and they damn near killed all of us in the process of it. I was Mr. Panic, and I trust me, I got made fun of quite a bit the next couple of weeks after. But I played Chicken Little and ran around like my head was cut off, and I didn't get my mask sealed, so I inhaled all the fumes from the Patriots, the Scuds, whatever payload, rocket propellant, everything that was in there. I inhaled all that, and that was kind of our experience as far as close contact. And then we, saw Scuds come over every night, and that's where Sid and Blaine and those guys could fill that in because they were back a little further back, and they were able to see a lot more activity back there as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then I'm sorry, one more thing, Kevin. I apologize.
That's fine.
So in after that, we went to KKMC, and in KKMC, we were there in March of '91. And I don't know if you remember Kamassia munitions dump. I think 18th Airborne was the guys that were blowing it up, but they were supposed to blow it up to get rid of all the sarin, cyclosarin, and mustard gas.
I bet that was a Casimir or some shit like that, not KKMC.
No, it was Kamassia, Iraq. But the plume from the explosion, because they didn't incinerate it at a high enough temperature, it carried out about 150 clicks. And the CIA and DOD did studies back in '96 and again in 2000 looking at the weather patterns. And at first they said there was only about 500 people affected by it. And then when they did the studies again in 2000, they realized over 150,000 soldiers and other military members had been affected by the Kamassia munitions explosions. And we had all inhaled sarin, cyclosarin, and mustard gas during that time frame.
Wow.
Yeah, not good.
Not at all. I mean, that's kind of like the Port of Jabal, all there, even by Iran. They found out that Saddam was spraying us with mustard gas with a helicopter.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. And they now believe that also when he blew up all the oil wells in there, he put it in there, the sarin gas and the IEDs, all that stuff had mustard gas inside.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. And that's a really good point, Kevin. I actually forgot about the oil wells. We literally lived in a black and white movie for 4 months because the oil wells are burning so intensely. You look at the sky, and the sky was white, not clear with the blue sky. It was white, and the sun was black. And that's what it looked like. It was a black orange, and that's what our world looked like for several months where, we were inhaling all this stuff. And, when you get back home and you find out, the VA sends a letter saying, hey, we know you were exposed to stuff, but don't worry, you're fine. And then you start having problems later on. It's quite frustrating.
Right. And you were talking about earlier about in the back where Sid would be able to tell more. Sid, why don't you talk more about that?
Yeah, back at Escon Village, our switch, I was at 36 Lima. We operated a TTC 39 Alpha. It's a 744 line switch, which was the biggest tactical switch in the military inventory at the time. We provided analog and digital, secure, non-secure voice and data communications to echelon above core units, such as Army Central Command, General Yosak, General Schwarzkopf right there in the war room. We also had big TAC satellite right there, 20 feet from the switch. We had comms back to the States through AT&T civilian satellite. So we're a target. Nightly nightly we'd come under Scud attacks almost every night. Some of these Patriots would take out these Scuds overhead to the point where it'd knock debris off the ceilings of the rooms you're in. You can feel the ground shake. Now there was several times that our chem alarms would go off. You'd see a yellow haze down in the drain areas. Just crazy stuff. And they talk about the oil well fires. The switch had to run at a certain temperature to run efficiently. So we had two 18,000 BTU ACs up front. That wall where the vents came in, there was a constant black sludge that ran down this wall. And it was ridiculous. And not to mention the Iraqi Republican Guard that was coming in nightly too to take out the comms. I didn't find out about that until one night I went to the Air Force mess hall or dining facility. Back at
5-star Michelin restaurant.
Right. So I get back, I'm humping it back to the schoolhouse, and we come under Scud attack. MPs pull me into a guard shack. We're already in Mont 4. And we're looking out. Saudi police or Saudi soldiers and the MPs had somebody at gunpoint right off of our perimeter. And I asked one of the MPs, well, what's going on? They said, it's Republican Guard. They've been coming in every night. We capture them every night. And you didn't have to tell me twice what they were after.
Probably that sexy mustache of yours.
Well, it was when
That was
it was
funny.
within range. It was within rank back then, but
Goddamn, Mac, you're so damn serious. You're giving me flashbacks, man.
boom!
Ah,
No, it's it was a crazy experience, but we had a damn good team. We had a damn good team of cable dogs and 36 Limas that we processed 125,000 calls per day through a 744 line switch, which is crazy back then. We supported, our switch had 10 long local phones going up to 10th Mountain Division up in Iraq, and they were pushing into Kuwait. It was going over a satellite shot up there. And I had a captain call me one night. He goes, we're having problems with these phones. You got to keep these phones operational because I have 150 guys' lives that are counting on it. And we sat there, we figured out what was going on with these phones, got them fixed. He called me back up. He goes, thank you.
That's pretty cool.
That's communications is key to a successful mission. If you're not communicating, you ain't fighting.
Yeah, that's true.
Sure.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, even my wife tells me that communication's important. I still don't listen to her.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I know she's going to watch this. I'll get in trouble.
I'm sitting here listening to all you guys talk about all these places you lived, and I'm wondering if we were in the same military. Because when we got there, we lived in condemned trailers that we had to take the dead goats out of.
Yes, we
And
did.
then I went to
Horrible.
KKMC and lived in a fucking tent for the rest of the time I was there, while across the street from me at KKMC was 5th Special Forces Group and the high-rise buildings that they had taken over. And we were out here in the desert living in tents. And we had this first sergeant. He kind of looked like Hitler. And he was from somewhere in 86. I don't remember his name. He was a real little guy. And he had the dark hair and the glasses and the mustache like Hitler. And he would make us get in mop gear to get our mail.
What? What the?
They would
That's
throw
love
us
right
in
there.
mop gear to get our mail.
Okay, well, wait, we're going to go back at first. A trailer with dead goats. Okay, kind of explain
Were you
that
there, Jeff?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we flew into Dahran, and it was the same thing like you're saying. And Jimmy said earlier about putting the 5 tons with the comm gear on the back and the generators, and we flew into Dahran. And the biggest thing I remember, Kevin, is we first opened that C5 up. That air hits you at about 120 degrees maybe, and it was 2:30 in the morning, and it felt like somebody had a hairdryer in your face, just blowing it right in your face.
Yep.
And we get all the equipment offloaded, and we lock everything up the best you can lock up military gear, because most of it's not really locked up, the trucks anyway. And then we go to these tents. We think not tents. We go to Tent City, which is actually these little modules, and we think we're going to be able to sleep in a decent little bed. And there's animal feces and carcasses everywhere, and they're like, well, you can clean them up and live there if you want to, or you can sleep outside. We're like, well, damn.
I would have slept outside.
Yeah. Well, we clean them up because we want, the thing is, we wind up cleaning them up, and then we wind up leaving pretty quickly. So
yeah, exactly. Once we got them cleaned, we were all out of there, and somebody else got to come in, and
the Air Force took them over.
Right, probably.
Well, I mean, that's like, think about it. If you don't want to get shot at, and if you want a better lifestyle, Air Force and the Navy were the way to go back then. I mean, nobody really had a great Navy fleet, so I wasn't worried about it. Hell no, was I going to get shot at? No way. And I mean, but I find all y'all really fascinating because, being over there in the grounds and with everything y'all seen, what problems has it happened? Why, since y'all been over there, pretty much.
Tiffany, you want to go first on that one?
Yes, I would like Tiffany to go first.
Oh boy. I've had cancer twice. I have, it's called alpha wave intrusion. I don't know if anybody else in the group has been diagnosed with it. It's a sleep disorder that is caused by being in a combat situation. And, you never knew what shift you were going to be on. So you might have been up all night. You might have been up all day. If you were on the day shift, you were sleeping at night, something would happen. There was always scuds. I mean, it was like watching fireworks, the amount of scuds we would watch go over us all the time. And it's caused from not getting good sleep in that like fight or flight where you just all of a sudden are awake. And my brain never hits REM cycle. So I have that.
Now, how did you get diagnosed with that?
Through a sleep study, through the military.
Okay.
I was at the Tucson VA, and I happened to have a fantastic doctor who specialized in alpha wave intrusion, and he was the one that read my sleep study and was like, this is not just sleep apnea, this is alpha wave. There's only one medicine on the planet that they can give you for it, and it's called Xyrem, and it's considered a date rape drug. So needless to say, the VA will not give it to you because of how strong it is and because of, the power of it. So they pretty much tell you to live with it. I have GI issues. I've got skin issues. And my newest issue that's been going on for years is since I got out, they would say, after I got out, I ended up marrying a soldier. So I got stuck going back to Fort Huachuca again and Fort Carson and all these places. And I would go in and they'd say, I think you have a heart murmur. No, we don't think it is. We're not sure what's going on, but you're okay. Well, then in 2006, I thought I got a bad cold and I got really sick. And I went to urgent care on a Saturday morning. I told work Friday, I'm going to go to urgent care tomorrow morning. Well, when I got there, I was in congestive heart failure and I ended up in a coma for, I had 2.5 hours of CPR. They didn't think I was going to make it. They finally got me back. I still have scars on my body where they would take the paddles. I still have the burn marks on my skin from the paddles.
Wow.
And then that went and then I ended up with a pacemaker and a defibrillator. I had that until in 2019. I ended up going to, they flew me from Fort Huachuca to Salt Lake City on a medical private jet. And I went in the hospital for 7 months and ended up getting a heart transplant from all of it.
God
And
bless
while I
you.
was in the hospital for the heart transplant, I had a stroke. And when they finally got me a heart, my body rejected it, and my heart failed again. So they had to put me back in a coma and put heart pumps back in my body to keep me alive until my new heart was strong enough to keep going. And then I got out of the hospital in May of 20. And while I was in the hospital, I was so sick I couldn't get out of the bed. I was on dialysis. I had 2 heart machines hooked up to me that sat on tables and pumped my blood out of my body in through these machines. I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything. I had to learn to walk all over again. I had to have physical therapy every day. I mean, I could not lift myself up off a toilet. I had zero strength. I could not pick my legs up and put them in the bed. I was so sick. I was on a feeding tube for months. And now, since I've had the heart transplant and I've gotten better, I'm doing good. I can go up a flight of stairs now. I still have issues with some things. I still haven't tried to run, but I ran enough in the military. I don't care if I can run or not. But, I have definitely seen some results since having a heart transplant.
Wow.
And Kevin, here's one thing to know too about Tiffany. Tiffany, I don't know if you want me to say this, but she's not rated at 100%, and she's not.
No.
I think it's called TNU.
How the heck?
So she's still fighting the VA to get everything approved where she gets fully covered because of what has happened.
Yes.
See, that to me, that's ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah, I filed when I first started having all the heart problems in 2006. When I got out of the hospital in 2007, I filed for disability, and they rated me service connected with 0 disability. And I sat service connected with 0 disability until last year. I just got a service rating last year, and when they gave it to me, they only rated me on migraines and PTSD. They didn't rate me on any of my heart stuff or anything. So now I've had to file all my stuff again, and I'm going through the process of dealing with this again. Well, when I was getting the evaluations through Veterans Evaluation Services, they flat out said, this is Gulf War syndrome. There's no doubt. Everything you have is unexplainable. Nobody in your family has these problems. None of this has happened to anybody else. This is Gulf War syndrome, 100%. So then when I filed my paperwork to do my refile for all the other things, one of the options to put on there is Gulf War syndrome. So I clicked on Gulf War syndrome. I get a fucking letter in the mail telling me that Gulf War syndrome is not something that can be rated, and they need to know my problems, and they don't recognize it. How the fuck you not recognize it and put it on your form? You gave me an option.
Right.
To click on Gulf War syndrome, and then I click on it, and then you tell me it's not. No.
Well, see, and here's the other problem, Tiffany. This other problems is if you look at their presumptives, everything you have is in the presumptives. It's no different than whenever I had an appointment at LHI. It goes in there, asks me all these questions, and she's just like, well, what do you think caused your tremors? I said, well, I have neuropathy. And she's like, are you diabetic? I said, no. And I said, there's a thing called sensory neuropathy tremors. And she's like, oh, yes, I've heard of that. So she does.
And then you have to explain it to her.
Yes. And then they do this sensation test. They poking you with the needle. She's like, your nerves are really bad. And I was like, yes, I have neurological problems. And so she writes back. I get my explanation letter. Is service connected at 0 because she says that it couldn't have been caused by the neuropathy or the or Gulf War. But there's another team that says, yes, it is caused by that. But I don't have a severe case. Well, you idiots, I'm on medication. Of course I'm not going to have a severe case. So I was just like, whatever. At least I'm connected at something, zero,
Yeah.
But hey,
Well, and with my tremors, I didn't develop mine until I was in the hospital for my heart transplant. Well, I've seen like 4 levels of neuropathy, of specialists, neurologists, and things like that. And they've done every test on me. They tested me for Parkinson's. They've done CAT scans to see if it was from my stroke. They've done everything and anything. So I go in for a follow-up with my heart transplant team one day. And they said, well, we're just, I'm kind of just fucking tell it to me the way it is. Don't sugarcoat anything. Just tell me. And he goes, well, I'm just going to tell you what they said. And I said, okay. And he said, neurology said they can't figure out what caused it. And they're just kind of washing their hands of it. And nobody knows how to help you. So you just have to live with it.
Have you got a hold of a congressman and talk to them about this?
No, but the VA in Salt Lake City made the biggest mistake of their life. Public affairs at the VA in Salt Lake City has decided that they think I should be one of their poster children.
Yeah.
So Dennis Mcdonough, who we all know is the secretary of the VA in Washington, D.C., who meets directly with Biden, came for lunch 2 weeks ago at the Salt Lake City VA, and he had lunch with one veteran. Guess who that veteran was?
Oh, boy. Oh, no.
And I flat out said to him, can I say anything I want? And he said, absolutely. And I said, your VA sells us a timeshare and gives us a trailer park.
Thank you.
And I'm fed up with it. I said, you tell us how great everything's going to be. We're going to get taken care of. And then we fall into the cracks and you don't do what you're going to say. I said, quit selling a timeshare. And so
what's he going to do?
You know what? He actually sat and took a lot of notes. He wrote down my phone number and he said, you will speak to me again and we will look at these issues. I am not letting this go. Just so you know, I heard what you said and we will talk about it.
Amen. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Very good to hear.
So if I can advocate for other soldiers or anybody that's a veteran, I am willing to do it.
Or sailors.
Anybody that's a veteran. Yep. My father was Navy, so yes.
All the way. No, just kidding. I'm sorry we beat y'all this, sorry. But all right. So how about you guys? What are y'all experiencing? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first, I guess. So I avoided a lot of my problems early on. I didn't have any legal problems, but when I got out, I was pretty wound up. I was wound up pretty tight. I threatened U.S. Marshal and IRS, and they threatened to come to my house, or they told me they were going to come to my house. They wrote a basic form letter saying you owe so much in taxes this year, and I took it personally. Because I'm still trying to get off of that. I just served my country and, I'm trying to get back to a normal life. My normal life wasn't there yet. I had gotten in multiple fights at work. I had chased a guy on a crowbar. I stopped traffic numerous times to get out of the car to go fight someone in the middle of a freeway. Just not, things weren't going well. And I joined the National Guard. Unfortunately, I joined the National Guard. And for anybody that's National Guard that's listening, this is pre-9/11 National Guard. So huge difference in what it is now. Absolute respect for you guys. Back then, it was a good old boys club, beer, watch football on Sundays. And I couldn't stand it. And I got in arguments with them, and I wound up actually getting other than honorable discharge from the National Guard. I went after a battalion commander, a lieutenant colonel, and threatened him and his whole family if he was going to continue to dog me, go after me and try to put me in jail for missing time in the Guard when I thought it was a complete waste of time. So I had issues with that. I tangled with the Portland police. Nothing I'm proud of by any means, but just got a lot of things happen like that. And then I had my first kid I realized you got to calm down and just put your head down. It doesn't matter if you feel like you've been wronged. It doesn't matter if you don't understand why you can't get a good job and other people have good jobs, you know. And I just tried to put all my focus into my family, you know, my kids and my wife and the job, you know. And about 2015, I started realizing everybody would tell me, hey man, you're wound pretty tight still. You may think you're doing pretty good, but you have issues. And I went to the VA and I talked to them and did some counseling and realized that I had PTSD. So I'm rated for PTSD and also tinnitus. The equipment we use, the Blaine, Sid, Jimmy, and myself, that equipment, and Tiffany, the equipment we use when you're in those shelters, it's about 110 dB noise. So I've got a nice constant ringing in my ears. It, you know, it just doesn't go away.
I got hearing aids today for tinnitus.
Oh,
I got them today. I just got them in.
Wow, yeah. But I have non-fatty non-alcohol fatty liver issues.
Liver.
Yeah, liver. I have nodules in my lungs. I have granuloma. I have kidney issues. I pass blood whenever I urinate. I have hypothyroidism, which is my thyroid. I just went to the VA today looking at that, and they think that it's possibly, if it's Hashimoto's, it's because the thyroid attacked itself through autoimmune. If it wasn't that, then it was, just hypothyroidism. I have several nodules on my thyroid, and I have to get an FNA where they go in with a 25 gauge needle and do a biopsy on each nodule to make sure it is or is not cancerous, and they determine to take out your thyroid or not. And Blaine will go into that more with another gal that was in our company that she had that happen. And I'm trying to think of everything. I have widespread, they call it polymyalgia and polyarthalgia. They don't want to say fibromyalgia because if they say, fibromyalgia, because if they say that, they have to give you a presumptive. So they call it
really?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
They just diagnosed me, and my chart says fibromyalgia 2 weeks ago.
You need to put in a rating for that. Yeah.
I didn't think about it, but I have nodules in my leg, and then I have what they call shattered glass in my lungs.
Oh wow. Yeah.
It looks like bullet.
That's great.
Glass.
And see, if the VA won't do a biopsy, the VA says a biopsy is too dangerous to do. So they don't want to do a lung biopsy. But there's a doctor, and I don't remember the specifics right now. I should have kept it up on my computer. But he's doing the thing now where he's actually putting some kind of radiation. It's not a bad radiation. Maybe it's not radiation. Right. It's something he's putting into the lungs, and he can detect how much metal's in your lungs.
Wow.
And he's doing that now for veterans because when you do a CT or MRI or an X-ray, that does not detect the amount of metal in your lungs. It only detects the nodules and cancer if it's growing in there. It does, I think it's sarcoidosis, I think is what it's called. That can't be detected from the normal stuff. And a lot of guys in the burn pits, that's what they're experiencing. And also one thing, Kevin, I didn't mention is another exposure that Jimmy and I had directly is, they were flying 1,500 sorties a day during the war. A day they were flying it. And Jimmy and I were we were in the path of the flights. And you can ask Jimmy, we had 1,500 planes flying over us every day during the war, during the bombing campaign. So you're breathing that fuel all the time. And all this stuff starts adding up. You got the fuel from the JP-8, you're burning feces, you're burning plastic to get rid of it because you don't put it in a garbage bag and your local garbage man comes and hauls it off. And I'm trying to think of everything else you're exposed to. We had the DEET, which is they found out the DEET causes problems, and that's the insect repellent. And there's other things that the Army gave us thinking they were safe and found out later on. Wow. I'm sorry, what's that?
All the damn shots.
Oh yeah, well yeah, and we took 20 shots, and I went to RISC. Thankfully, I went to RISC in December of 20, and RISC in Palo Alto told me, basically your flora in your stomach is destroyed when you take all these shots. And when you take 20 shots at one time, and then you leave Fort Huachuca, Arizona, and you go to Dajabón, Dhahran or Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, you get new flora in your gut, and that causes problems. And then when you go back home after getting an anthrax shot and you go back home 6 months later or a year later, you go back to Fort Huachuca, Arizona, and then you ETS and go back to your home state or to whatever state you choose to go to after ETS, you get these different floras in your gut. And when your body is already on hyper alert from having these, I mean, imagine getting 20 different flu shots, 20 different kinds of flu shots at one time. Think about what one flu shot does to your body. You know, you get sore for a couple of days, your arm hurts, you get a runny nose, you know, something like that. And this is, you know, imagine 20 different strains of flu shot you're taking and then what it would cause, you know, what it would do to you. And that's something that the VA just doesn't want to talk about. And I've actually talked to the folks at Fort Bragg about anthrax, and they swear up and down the anthrax shot did not bother us. It did not hurt us one bit. But yet you have all these issues that have arisen from it.
Right.
Or possibly arisen from it, I guess I should say.
And Blaine, how about you? What kind of issues have you had?
You fall asleep on us?
No. Probably, I think the burn pits, you know, and I wasn't just exposed there. So with the Gulf War, but then with the Iraqi freedom and all of that, burn pits is going to be the Gulf Wars. It's going to be the Gulf Wars, Vietnam's Agent Orange. I mean, that's just what I think. You know, at some point they're going to fully come out and admit that, and then, you know, these guys and gals are going to have to struggle and deal with that for years to come. But I think what Jeff was talking about earlier, I'll go back to my stuff in a minute, but this gal that was another 36 Lima with me and Sid worked directly with us. She had just put on Facebook a few weeks ago. She wasn't sure if she should put it out there or whatever, but she had thyroid cancer 10 years ago, and that had been treated, and she was in remission. And then I think it was right around, I forget, Thanksgiving or this past Christmas that it came back, but it's now also at least in one lung. So we don't know. I tried reaching out to her 10 days, 2 weeks ago, and I didn't get any response back. I don't think that, you know, I don't think she's gone, but I think she's just dealing, you know, right now with everything. After, you know, thinking, you know, when they go, you think it's taken care of, right? And it just make you test. She's a very faithful person, religious person, and I'm sure it just makes you really wonder what I did, you know, what I got myself into. So, and she did about 10 years, and she got out. And then I know she works at Fort Gordon at the Cisco Academy. She's was a very smart gal. So doing well, but it doesn't matter how much money you got if you're not there to see it. So pray for her, keep her in our prayers.
Yes.
But for me, then, you know, when I had to go back in 7, everybody had to get a smallpox shot again. But I didn't have to get one because I had eczema. I think that's related from that. So itchy dry skin all the time. These guys, you know, I hate to sound so nasty, but I've got issues with going, you know, to the bathroom. Not going to the bathroom, but going shitting is always loose. Always loose, you know, and I'm just like,
some same way.
Yeah, you know, and I go in, you know, and they do you know, I had got an ulcer, you know, I was like a 28-year-old guy freaking getting an ulcer. I don't know if it's related, is related, ain't related. I'm not under duress or anything like that, too much stress, I don't think, but that came out of nowhere. So I got to get treatment with that. I've got the, you know, so I had the scope done. They say I don't have IBS, but they did say I had some type of bacteria. They didn't tell me what it was, but just that my insurance wouldn't cover it. So never took anything to maybe knock it out or whatever. And of course I still deal with that. Not all the time, but more times out of the year, I do deal with it. That's one of the biggest ones. I got the real dry eyes. Again, that one, they came back, said that's not service connected or whatever, it's dry eye socket or something to that effect.
Even though it's a presumptive.
They're like,
Yeah,
It's one of the 13, isn't it, I think?
yeah, that's the thing
that?
that drives me nuts is everything you're listing is a presumptive, but yet they come back in and they deny it. And I think that's the problem with a lot of the veterans that get so disappointed and everything. You know, I mean, I just heard them the other day talk about, guys who are out during the Gulf War. One of the biggest thing is dry eyes. And so if you have that, it's a presumptive. And it's like, yeah, go follow that with them.
Right. I have Salzman, they call it Salzman nodules, where my actual eye is turning gray, and it has a like a ridge through it. So I'm getting a gray ridge around my iris. So I'm losing the color in my eye, and my eye's turning gray. And they said that's just, it's just something that happens as you get older. It's
Right.
age related, not Gulf War related.
Right. And Mitch, how about you? What are you experiencing?
Oh, well, my circumstance is a little different from these guys. I was getting sick even before I left the country. By the time I had got back, I had stomach surgery, a laparoscopic on my stomach. My stomach had adhesed to my stomach lining, so they cut it off. I don't know if any of you guys remember that. That would have.
No, I didn't know that, man. Jeez.
Yeah. And then, so when I got out, I already was on disability. And then, let's see, I got disability for PTSD immediately. And then, and now I'm at 100%, but I've been in and out of outpatient VA facilities for the last, 30 years now. And I've gone up to South Dakota and spent 4 months up there. I've been in and out of detox centers for booze and other stuff. What else? A couple months ago, I got diagnosed with cancerous polyps, so they cut those out. So I'm hoping for the best for that. I lost a right testicle to cancer. What else? A lot of cysts. I don't know if you guys get cysts on your heads.
My ears, for some reason, and behind my ears. I don't know. My lymph nodes and everything swell up too.
Yeah, that's not normal. It was being already in the system and moving through the motions. For me, it was time consuming, but it took like 8 years to get at 100%. But of course, back then they backdated it all the way to the Gulf War. So I got and that was in 2004. So I got everything backdated to 92 at 100%.
Good for you.
So I understand the plight. I totally understand the plight you guys are going through. I've talked to Jeff, I've talked to Sid, I've talked to fucking Tyree. I'm telling them my experiences with the VA and stuff. Personally, the only problem I have with VA is it takes forever to get in and out to see somebody. That's the problem I have.
Yeah, that's a lot of problems with it here. I mean, I was just talking to a guy the other day. He's a neurologist, and he said they're so backlogged on.
Yeah, it's an issue. It's definitely an issue.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've been good to me. I can't complain.
Yeah. Houston's been great to me. I mean, and everything. Well, Jimmy.
Hey, well, basically, because me and Jeff might have well been attached at the hip, we went through the exact same things at the exact same times in the exact same places, huffing up all that damn jet fuel vapors and through the freaking insane opening night of the war with the Scuds and the and the Patriots duking it out right over our heads. And I remember his mask. He said something was wrong with his mask because he could smell all that shit. And then through the rest of the whole thing, what it was like being there. And then when we all started packing up after the war, we went up to Dahran. It was like he said, it was like a black and white movie. It was a constant haze. I thought it was oil well fires, but it looked freaky. I mean, it looked like otherworldly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was like a science fiction movie or something.
Yeah.
And as far as the issues I've had afterwards, since I got out, I'm horrible about going to the doctor. I have to have blood shooting out of my eyes before I'll go to the doctor. I just won't go. And my issues I've had, my memory is almost non-existent. My short-term memory, my long memory period. And before that, I mean, you can ask, back right before we went, we showed up at 593rd. We went to school in Keesler Air Force Base, and I was just acing the test and just busting through that school. Jeff can tell you that. And,
yep.
And after that, I'm just mentally not there like I used to be. And just constant fatigue, don't matter. It don't matter if I sleep for 3 hours or for 13 hours. I'm just as damn tired. And it's been that way, from the get-go. And, but other, and of course, emotional issues and stuff like that from, having kind of a identity crisis after I got out, because used to being living in that culture, being on my own, I just kind of felt like I was just kind of drifting around, not going anywhere. But as far as being physically sick, I've had, a knee that went bad for no reason. That I had exploratory surgery on, and they found these growths in my knee that they couldn't explain. My back is just riddled with bad discs. They just rupture. I might have like 2 or 3 discs in my back that are still normal. But other than that, as far as other kind of getting sick or something bad, really bad, like some of you guys, I've been lucky. I think there's just something about my body that just doesn't. I've been very fortunate. So that's been pretty much it for me. I feel like, being through the same places I've been with Jeff and the guys, I've been very fortunate not to have more things go wrong than they have.
Yeah, because it does seem like, some guys who were on my ship, we all have the same thing. Some guys don't. I think it's just how the body reacts to it. Yeah. Sid?
I actually had that, Kevin, today when I was at the VA. I was talking to the burn pit doctor, and she calls it psychosomatic. And basically the way she explained it to me was someone like, say, myself, that reacted not so favorably to being hit with a bunch of missiles, and and you're not
can't understand why.
You're right. And I mean, and that's what I was going to say. It's not like it's just some little firework going off. You're talking a 500 HE, warhead going off, and if there's 16 Patriots and then 9 Scuds, that's 25 500-pound HE warheads going off at once and landing all around you.
That was a shock.
It was. It was. I mean, I remember. And Kevin, I don't think I told you the story. I'll try to make it real quick. I had just gotten off guard duty. I went to our cot. We had a GP medium tent. GP medium tent has a big center pole, and then it has 2 poles at the opening flaps, and then there's a guy wire that runs down. And what we do is we take our M16 and we strap it over the end of our cot, because the cots break down, and it's just an easy place to put it when you're going to go to bed. And I get in bed, start trying to go to sleep, and then Ricky Lee Harvin from Virginia comes running in.
He
It says, those things are going off. And I said, what are you talking about? He says, those things. And I said, the Patriots. And then you just hear a boom, 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 just constant booming. And I instantly panicked because my mop gear, and we were told that Saddam was going to use chemical weapons on us, just like he had done Iran back in the 88, the 8 years he fought with Iran, and where he killed his own people with I believe it was sarin, NV, I think. What was it?
Mustard.
I thought it was
Was it mustard? Yeah, he used something, but it's a horrible way to die. You basically drown in your own blood. And all I could think it was, oh my God, my mop gear's in the bunker. I got to run. So I'm trying to grab my M16 because if we're going to fight, I got to be able to fight. And I'm grabbing my 16, I'm yanking it and yanking. I can't get it off. And I finally put my foot on the cot and just yank as hard as I can. And my whole cot goes flying up in the air. And I grab my M16 and I take off running. I dodged the pole at the flaps, but then I hit the guy wire. I hit it so hard with my forehead that I actually saw my feet in front of me like a cartoon. And I hit the ground. I don't know if I actually got knocked out or not, but I just looked up when I kind of regained my thoughts. And all I saw was it looked like a hand coming out. And that's the chafe that the Patriots shoot before they shoot the Patriots themselves. They shoot this chafe out. And I guess it helps lock on the radar or something. And all I see is this huge hand just shooting out, this chafe that's going out. And then you just see rocket after rocket after rocket launching. And all I think is, this is ridiculous. I just turned 21. I just went to a bar legally and I'm going to die. This is just bullshit, and I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. I'm going to, 21's not as bad as 17. That's for damn sure, but still sucks when you think that's going to be you right there.
Right.
And, I ran in the bunker and I jumped in. I tried to put my mop gear on, and, the mop gear from your knees zips down to your boots. And I was so shaken. I couldn't, my hand's doing this. I'm trying to grab the zipper to zip down, and I can't even function to zip my zipper down because I'm so out of it, so distraught. I don't know what word you'd use. And then all of a sudden I realized I could smell carbine. I could smell everything around me, which is not good. And I resealed my mask several times. I still couldn't get it to seal, and finally it sealed. And they're saying, well, do you want to take the atropine shot? And atropine, is that, I don't know exactly what it does, but it speeds your heart up to like 170 beats a minute. And it tries to push the poison out of your body. It will kill you if you don't have something wrong with you. So I'm sitting there debating to myself for 5 minutes. Do I want to die from drowning in my own blood, or do I want to try to take this atropine and possibly, if there wasn't chemical weapons, die from that? What am I going to do here? And I chose to just sit there and wait. I told Sergeant Montez, who was our team chief, I said, man, if I conk out, just shoot me up with it, because I don't know what to do. I'm pretty much scared to death here. And I waited, about 5 minutes, and we realized, hey, you're not dead, so everything must be okay. And then, we stayed mobbed here for 5 hours, and we're just waiting and watching more scuds go by, and they're all overhead now, way up. They weren't hit by the same Patriot battery again, because they were shooting at Riyadh. They were hitting Sid and all those guys, and Blaine, everybody back there in the back. And I tell you, it was terrifying. It really was. And that, anyway, she said that's all psychosomatic. And she said basically your brain, because of not being the hypervigilance, that you're kind of stuck in that state, like Tiffany was saying earlier, that even if you have a knee pain, that knee pain's really a 4 or 5. When your brain reads it, because your brain has been amped up so long, and it's kind of turns the gain up on it, you're actually reading that pain as a 8 or a 9 instead of a 4 or 5, because your brain's still hyped up on that fight or flight, or that hypervigilance thing. And that's why they say that we have people with PTSD usually have a higher chance of getting fibromyalgia, because my body hurts on my good days. I started taking Cymbalta now, and the Cymbalta really does help. It's a mood stabilizer and also a chronic pain stabilizer.
Right.
It's an SSRI. And I'm taking 60 milligrams a day of that. And it really helps me kind of take the edge off. It helps drop dopamine in your body, so that it basically just helps you kind of chill out a little bit, But I still have pain where I feel like I have flu-like symptoms. I sweat when I get out of the shower. I'll still sweat like a cold sweat, and you feel sick like you have the flu. And my joints will hurt so bad I don't want to move. My muscles hurt so bad I don't want to move. You're just miserable. And like Blaine said, the IBS, I'll get a little more graphic. It's almost like a cow pie. And it has mucus in it, and then other days you have the constipation, and that's actually IBS is what it does is it goes back and forth between mostly runny stool to then a constipation type thing, and it goes back and forth. And those 13 items that's on 3.117, there's 13 items in there that talks about this. They don't go by that. They say, well, were you diagnosed specifically with fibromyalgia? Were you diagnosed specifically with IBS? Were you diagnosed specifically with I forget the other one, but there's 3 of them that if you have those, that's the magic answer. But if you don't have that in your chart somewhere, then you're not sick. It's all in your head. You're psychosomatic, you're a malingerer, and you're just trying. I actually had a doctor tell me, you 50-year-olds coming in now are just, you didn't save up enough for your retirement and you're trying to retire now. I had a doctor tell me that, and I could not
I would have
believe
been pissed
that someone said that. It dumbfounded me that someone would say because he doesn't know my financial situation. You don't have to report. Thankfully, you don't have to report your finances to the VA if you choose not to. So
hey, Jeff, I'm sorry to interrupt you, buddy, but I have to split. I'm up hard against the wall to get my butt to work.
All right, well, get to work, Jimmy. I appreciate you coming on.
And hey, I really appreciate it, guys. Let's keep in touch, and God bless you guys.
And God bless you.
Thanks,
buddy.
Jimmy.
Be safe.
Take care.
Well, and this is where I want to get to Sid, because I haven't asked him what situations are you having?
Well, basically every joint. Basically every joint in my body freaking hurts. Now I sustained some injuries while I was in theater, and I've gone through cortisone shots in every joint in my arms and shoulders. I've had surgery on my shoulder. Still having issues there. Back, hips, knees are brutal. Can't sit for a long period of time. Can't stand for a long period of time. IBS, skin issues. I've had basal cell carcinomas removed.
Yep.
I'm hypothyroid, which I'm in a very small percentage of hypothyroid where I don't gain weight.
Bastard.
I can't gain weight no matter how much I eat. I can't gain weight. Sleep disorders. I'm actually scheduled for a sleep study here within the next few days. It shows always tired. My wife sleeps with earplugs. Extreme violence in my sleep. Always having these dreams that somebody's trying to come in and breach the perimeter. And I think it goes back to those Republican guards coming in every night. But I'm always sitting in a small wood room for some reason. And I react to it with my feet and my knees kicking those individuals as they're trying to come through the door. Well, unfortunately, it's my wife who's laying next to me catches the brunt of it. What else? There's hearing, the constant ringing, the tinnitus. Yeah, I got 10% for that. Got hearing loss in my right ear, 0% for that. I just bumped that back up because I got my ENT diagnosed me with Meniere's disease. Now, if you're not familiar with Meniere's, it's an extremely, it's an aggravating condition where you just lose all hearing in one ear, have vertigo. I mean, I could be walking down a hallway and walk straight into a wall as I get dizzy. So I've got that back on the table. So I got a CMP coming up on that one. What
How about
else?
neuropathy? Any of y'all have neuropathy?
Yes.
So that's just a
Yeah.
laundry list of stuff. I had a Gulf War syndrome CMP not too long ago, and I didn't even put Gulf War syndrome on my claim, and they listed all the stuff, and they started asking for questions, and they're like, well, this is a Gulf War syndrome CMP. So I'm still waiting to hear back from all that. Lower back and hips. Jeff can tell the story better than I can about the plane crash in Rome. That's got to put a lot of stresses on your back and your hips.
Well, yeah, you think?
Yeah. Did we talk to you about that, Kevin? About the plane
No.
crash? Oh,
And there's no record of it.
yeah, there's no record at all.
Well, hell,
But
let's
we
make a
flew,
record. Let's go with it.
There was no record of you being in Bahrain.
Well, there's no record of me even being in Bahrain. Yeah, it's crazy. It really is. Yeah, but the plane crash, we were flying back as a company. So you had a 593rd signal company. We were flying back on Pan Am flights, and because Pan Am was going bankrupt at the time, so the government was using them as a charter to help them bail them out. And we flew into Rome. We flew into Rome, Italy, and the pilot says, "Hey, it's really foggy. We're having a hard time here. It's going to be a pretty rough landing." And we landed, I don't know the exact distance, but about 50 yards short of the runway. And it ripped the landing gear up. The back landing gear got ripped up into the fuselage of the plane. And the wings were damaged enough to where you can walk up and touch them from underneath. You could just walk up and touch them. It wasn't hard to reach up, and usually wings are quite a bit higher than that. And it was crazy, Kevin. And when we wrecked, and Blaine and Sid and Jimmy, but Jimmy just took off, but we could all attest to this. It wasn't just the center luggage that fell down. The center luggage consoles fell down and were hitting people in the head. And of course, as soon as we crash and stop, they open the doors up as quickly as they can and try to get everybody out, which still takes several minutes. There's smoke, electric smoke or some kind of smoke that has an electrical taste and smell to it. So we're breathing this in as we're trying to get out. And of course, you're wondering if a fire is going to start, how much fuel's on the plane, a whole other adventure of, are we going to be dead right now, and then we waited, I think, about 6 hours for a new plane. I believe that's right. Blaine and Sid could kind of fill that in.
Oh, you got a picture. Look at that. That is
everything deployed. It was brutal. I remember one of the stewardesses, she was talking on the handset, like a phone handset as a microphone. And when we hit, she got sprawled all on the ground. I mean, it was fairly unexpected. I didn't think it was going to be like that. We didn't know what was going on. They heard different stories, but like Sid said, there was no. I've searched for it for years to try to find something about that. I'm like, you survived the war, and then a whole company could have, or almost 2/3 of a company could have been wiped out, or whatever, or more. Whoever, there wasn't just us; there was other people, I'm sure. But yeah,
man,
scary.
that's crazy.
Yeah,
I can't find the rest of the pictures. I know I've got a picture of the wings where the control rods for the flaps were completely.
I was like, I was on baggage detail. I think me and Jeff were on that baggage detail.
Yeah.
Like, we had to go off and then unload we had to load it all up, and then we had to unload it and reload it. But there you go, young man. That's me. But you could just go out flat-footed, touch I could touch the wings. They were busted down. I think we waited longer than that, like 12 hours, whatever it was.
Yeah, it was a long time.
But it was a long time, and.
Well, earlier, all of us were talking. I was telling y'all to remind me of the story I want to tell y'all because we were talking about beards.
The beard.
Beard story, yeah.
Yeah, and so, probably going to get beat up for this comment, but the story. But whenever our commanding officer, you had to stand at attention, and, everybody had to get, muster up and make sure all their uniform was in pristine care. So he walks by and he looks at mine. He's like, all right, hey, I need somebody to walk with me and while I check everybody's uniform. So I said, I'll do it with you. And this guy was from Arlington, Texas, and he always jacked with me because I was from Houston. So I said, okay.
Hey, Kevin, can I ask you real quick?
Yeah.
Was it hard to iron satin?
Oh, here we go. There we go with the Navy shit. No, it wasn't. But anyway, going back to my story. So we're sitting there. I'm going to pay you back for that one. And so I'm sitting there and we just got females on board. And, we were learning to, be nicer and be more gentle Navy. And so I was in old school Navy. And so he walked by and I was like, how can I get him back? So he walks up to this BM2 and she was in my division. And I thought, oh, I got a good idea. So he's looking and he steps to the next one. If he misses something, I'm supposed to point it out. So I happen to look and I'm standing in front of her. I won't say her name. So I'm sitting there and I was like, Captain, you missed something. And he's like, what? She forgot to shave. He looks at me. He's like, what? I said, her beard. She didn't shave. And I mean, the look on his face is like, I don't know what the hell to do right now. She's looking at me like, you're dead. And I'm over here thinking to myself, this is outstanding. And he was like, Simon, give me the damn clipboard, go back and stand in the row. So I go stand over there. Oh my God, I got my ass chewed. But
I can imagine.
Like, oh my God, it was the funnest time. That, to me, that was a highlight of a Navy career right there. I thought I'd lighten some of you, after what y'all been through. I mean, hell, airplane crash, Scud missiles. I mean, I don't know how the hell y'all did it.
I tell you what, we had one over Bahrain. They had the you were in Bahrain, right, Kevin?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they had the what was it called, Tiffany? The EM club or the junior NCO club or whatever it was.
Is that the one that it had the gate around it?
Right next to the
The reason I don't drink slow gin fizzes anymore.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no doubt. It had the swimming pool. There was a swimming pool, and then there's an EM club, and then there was a volleyball court, and then right next to that was our tropo system that was there. But yeah, Kevin, we get in fights with Marines. Marines love fighting. Man, those guys.
Well, yeah.
I couldn't believe. Well, see, I was working out 3 hours a day. I mean, I was cut, man. I was benching. I was doing 240 as a regular, and I was maxing at like 310. I was preacher curling at 120. I mean, I was in pretty good shape. And I figured being that big, Marines wouldn't want to mess with you. Man, I don't know how many fights I got into because they love fighting. I actually got pulled in. We were fighting one night, and the SP showed up. The SPs, the Navy guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, they come in and they try to put me on the bus to take me back to the ship. And I said, hey, you can't take me with you. And they said, what do you mean? And I said, I'm in the Army. And they're like, what? There was only 23 Army guys there. And they said, well, you got to come with us. I said, hell no, I'm an Army guy. I pull out my ID and I show them, and they kicked me off the bus. But all these drunk sailors and Marines and everything are there. We've just been duking it out, and pissing everybody in the club off.
I think there were only 2 females.
What's that?
I think it was just me and Anderson were the only 2 females.
I think you're right. Yeah, there was. Yeah.
Hey,
you guys had to pick a litter.
We had a guy on my ship. We pulled in a port. And I think it was in Bahrain. Well, he didn't make it back. And we're like, well, where the heck? Well, the police get a hold of us. He got arrested. He jumps a wall at a palace to go knock on the door and run. I'm thinking, what the hell are you thinking? Like, really? I mean, because I was on a supply ship. So it's probably one of the reasons why y'all didn't get all your supplies at first. But anyway. But, I mean, why would you go to a different country, jump over a freaking wall, especially in Saudi Arabia where they cut your hands off if you do something stupid or you steal, and you go knock on the door and run? And then he was drunk on top of it.
Sounded like a good idea at the moment.
Apparently so.
I don't know how I didn't get in trouble.
I went to a soccer field broke in and stole their Bahraini flag from them while I was drunk.
We did lots of things. All our
Yeah.
stories in Bahrain start with one night at the club.
Right? Yeah.
Did y'all ever
We
go to
started
the
drinking,
Gold
and
Souk?
next thing you know,
Did y'all ever go down to the Gold Souk?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that wasn't that
I
great.
don't even know what that is. I know we went to a couple of clubs where there were
No, the Gold Souk is where you went down for
It was up by Gold. It was like
Yeah.
a
yeah.
street. Everything
It
was
was
gold.
the Souk Mall we used to go to for
Man,
gold.
Okay, it was like $55 a gram or something.
if
something
I
like
would have
that.
known then what I know now,
Oh,
I would have bought it.
I know.
Oh my gosh, my
with
paychecks
you.
would have been there.
2,000
Mine were at the club.
Yeah, well, that's where my money went to. So,
Hey, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
all right,
Oh,
explain.
That's it. Blake.
20-foot satellite.
Yeah, big old satellite.
It's a 85 band 20-foot dish that was sitting right, 20, 30 feet from the switch.
Is that how y'all called home? Sorry, it was funny.
No,
The cable dogs had a butt set. You could just tap in. You call all the time.
no, we were switch guys. We had methods of calling home without issue.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's
That's very
true.
true.
Yeah, the switch guys are the smart guys. So Blaine is considered the smart guys, and the rest of us were tropo dogs. We were all a bunch of radio guys.
I was just a hanger on. I let these other guys do it all. That's the young lady that's got the cancer.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just amazing though, because a lot of the guys that I have on the program, I talk to them, is a lot of people at first don't want to talk about their situations. They don't want to talk about what happened then. They don't want to talk about in between or now. But the more and more I'm doing the program, more and more people coming out. And I think that's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people need to figure, they need somewhere where they can go to and talk about it and help each other.
Well, I think your podcast is creating a community. I really do. And I know I've been listening to you for a while, and that's why I contacted you. I wanted to talk to you because it's an opportunity for people that are like-minded, or maybe not like-minded. Maybe we just serve together, and that's as far as it goes. But we have an experience that was very surreal in a lot of ways, that we experienced this, and it's a part of our identity. I think, like Jimmy said earlier, I can't stress enough after I got out of the military, I want to be a soldier since I was 10 years old. And when I got out of the military, I was lost. I didn't know who I was. I had no identity whatsoever. It hurt, it hurt to leave what I wanted to be and what I wanted to spend the rest of my life doing. And you're lost. And I remember when I got a job as a technician, I started working again as a technician, as a radio technician, and working my way up to what I do now. And, somebody call you a technician, and I'd almost laugh because it just, I felt like everything I had just completely been kicked out from under me. And that's my life for the last 30 years, has always been looking back to see when I'm going to fall in that hole. When that hole is behind you, is going to consume you. And you can put your family there, in front of you. You put your kids and your family, and you try to focus on them, and you try to forget about that hole that's always there. You're going to fall into one day.
Yeah.
And I think you can compartmentalize, and I think I did that for a long time. But when my kids got old enough where they moved out, they were grown and moved out and started to get married and all that stuff. I had a lot of alone time, and that time to think is dangerous if you don't have a community to express yourself and try to find some kinship, that camaraderie we all had at one point in the service, because I've never, ever experienced anything like that again,
And you said it, that's it right there. This is a platform where I want to build a community. I do. I want us to be a community. I don't care what branch of service you were in. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Okay, Air Force. I'm just kidding, guys. That's just a joke. I'm just kidding. But anyway, I had to throw one Air Force joke in there, just one. But No, it is. It is. It's a community that our war was a forgotten war. It really
Yes.
was. I mean, they don't teach it in schools. I mean, a lot of guys who I talk to, they don't even have jobs now because they, I mean, physically, they can't work. And I mean, I think that's sad. And they don't have nobody to turn. A lot of people have lost their spouses, because of what their spouses don't understand what they went through.
That's what I was just going to say, is that it's so hard because, you know, you're tired, you don't sleep well, you've got these PTSD things. For me, it's not, for me, smells are my trigger. Like, I know everybody's got a different thing that triggers their PTSD. For me, it smells. And I'll be somewhere and one of those smells will hit me and it like totally just changes the whole situation, and then you want to talk to your family, but you don't want to tell them everything. And then on top of it, they don't understand what you're saying.
Yes.
And a lot of times, and I don't mean to sound like a jackass, but a lot of times they kind of act like it's not a big deal because they haven't experienced it and they don't get where we're coming from. And sometimes I feel like they can't comprehend why it affects us the way it does. And so they just kind of act like we're overreacting about things.
Right. I mean, honestly, sometimes with a lot of guys, I find they get hurt. It doesn't hurt them. But I put myself in their shoes. That's why I never really talked to my wife and my kids about my time in the military because they wouldn't understand it. But
Right.
Now that I do this, they're understanding more. And I think they understand why I have so much pride of being in the military.
Absolutely.
And I mean, Jeff, I'll be honest with you. I was the same way when I got out. I was a wreck. I mean, I built myself up to something. I did. I mean, I had a great Navy career. I should have probably spent 20 years in. I mean, my last year in, I made Junior Sailor Year Westpac. I mean, I worked my ass off. And I mean, I enjoyed every moment I had whenever I was in the military.
Even the bad times.
Even
Yeah.
the bad times.
Yep.
But
I agree.
Everything.
Right. But I look at the bad times as a learning experience because everything I have now is because of what I did then.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I hope everybody looks at it like that. You're going to fall. I seen guys go all the way down and just fall to their lowest and can't pick themselves up. And there's a lot of vets out there living in tents, a lot of vets on the streets, a lot of vets
Yep.
on drugs, drinking, that haven't been able to pick themselves up. But it's not their fault. Be honest with you, it's their family's fault because they don't understand it. And it's not their family's fault because it's the government's fault. They need to make a program for each and every family member that has a veteran out there that's struggling with PTSD or any combat situations.
Yeah.
And have
Period.
the family understand it and what they went through. And
Yeah.
it would make life a whole lot simpler.
You come back from deployment, it should be mandatory that if you're married, you and your spouse or you and your spouse and children go to a couple of classes. It should be mandatory for a single soldier or Marine or a seaman or I can't forget what they call the Air Force, but airmen,
Airmen.
they go through, they go through some kind of class but we literally got home in late June. Tiffany did, but we got home late June. I got my ETS date in July. I took my final physical July 21st of 91. And I was literally, my grandmother passed away when I was in Bahrain. And then my grandfather passed away as soon as we got back home. So they allowed me to go back and go to my grandfather's funeral. And I got back and Jimmy and all those guys were gone then. So I came back to having all this family, if you will, to having no one but these new guys I didn't know. They were all soldiers, but they were all new guys I didn't know. They weren't my people. And and then you ETS and you go to this world where nobody gives a shit about what you did. $5 in a job well done will get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks. And not that I'm looking for an attaboy, but you know what I'm saying,
Right.
And it's just everything's hollow and you're empty because you came from being something, at least in my mind, that was worthy. You're worthy. You served your nation at something that's worthy, and then you're nothing. And there needs to be some kind of post-deployment. You go to a few classes. If you're married, you go to a few classes with your spouse and or children, and you kind of get back to that normalcy of just the military, which is not normal in itself. And then when you're ETSing from the service, they need to help you learn how to write a resume. You should do all this on your own. I completely agree, but I'm saying
they do this now.
Oh, they do. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they do have a program now.
Stuff, apps.
Yeah, they do. They do help them now.
See,
but
go ahead, Tiffany.
Okay, I was just going to say, I was over there for I think I was there 19 months. So I went before everybody went, and I came back after everybody else had come back. So when the units came back, there were people there waiting for them with signs welcoming them back. They had parades. They had all this. We got off a plane and it was like, get your fucking bag and go back to work. We didn't see any of that. And
Right.
It's not that you have to have it, but it would have, I just felt like, especially I'm going through all this hell with my health now. I didn't even have to go. I volunteered to go. And now I'm in this constant struggle and battle over my health. And I think, should I have not went? Should I have went? But I never regret the decision I made to go to the Gulf War. I do not regret it in any way. And I have been through hell and back. I mean, I spent 7 months in ICU
in a coma.
In a hospital. And part of it was in a coma twice.
Crazy.
See, my goal, and I'm setting a pretty high goal, but this is my goal. My goal is to one day to have about 50 to 100 acres, build a facility, so when the young men and women come back, they got a place to come back and detox. Not only their minds, but their bodies and where they went through, and then wait a couple weeks to bring their spouses or bring their family members in, introduce them back to life to show them that there is something more than just getting out. Hell, I got out, they handed me my thing, kicked my ass out. It was like, I was done, you know, and I want to, there should be a facility that's going to help these kids. And I think of these kids right now, they're sitting over, don't know what the hell's going on in Ukraine and Russia going on. And that could be 10 times worse than what the hell we went through.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
And that, that's what I worry about. I watch it every day. My heart sinks. Is like, man, just stop. Why can't we all get along?
And that's another thing too, Kevin. I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but when I tried, I have a couple of nephews that went over to Afghanistan, and they were in the Marines, but I met other people that were in service, and I was traveling a lot back in the 2000s. So I would see the guys in the airports, and I'd say, "Hey, thank you for your service." And most of them, felt very uncomfortable about it. And I'd say, "Hey, I'm ex-military. I want you to know I appreciate what you're doing, and the sacrifice you guys make for us." Because you got less than 0.5% of our nation serves in the military. So and a lot of these guys and gals, they're from military families, and they're doing multiple tours. I mean, you could ask Blaine. Blaine probably knows guys that have done 7, 8 tours. He may have done 7. I don't know, Blaine, how many tours you've done. But, these guys have experienced a level of combat and stress nowadays that Vietnam veterans had it horrible. But
right.
Hopefully they only had maybe 1 or 2 or maybe 3 tours at the most. and you have this constant, hyper vigilance that goes on for multiple deployments. And then when I try to talk to them, I say, hey, hey guy or gal, I want to say thank you, number one, and I hope that you're okay. And they say, they'll say, well, what do you know about what I went through? And as an ex-soldier, or as a former military member, it broke my heart to where I don't even talk to military members anymore. I don't talk to anybody in uniform. I want to, because I respect the hell out of them. But it slap in the face when they say, well, what do you know about it? Your experience wasn't mine. And I get that. But at the same time, we have this mutual experience where we were willing to do what it took to get the job done. And it's very disheartening.
Right. And the other thing that breaks my heart is the bill, the Honoring Our Veterans Act that they passed. My own congressman didn't even vote for it. Yeah,
174. But I don't do the political thing.
Me neither. But what burns my ass is that's from Vietnam to present.
Absolutely.
Right.
The other bill that they're wanting to do that he'll represent does post 9/11. What the hell is up with post 9/11?
Yeah.
There's a whole group of us that are before that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's to me, when I called Friday, and I'm telling you, I was almost in tears. I was so mad. I was like, I don't understand. Well, it costs too much money for the taxpayers. Are you freaking shitting me? Too much money for the taxpayers.
We are the fucking taxpayers.
Yeah, well, and we just sent how much money over to Ukraine?
I think $9 billion or something. I think.
I mean, come on.
Or they're putting that through right now. It is crazy, and that's and what you're talking about, Kevin. That's HR 3967. That's Honor Your Pact Act, and that was what happened was the Senate passed their version, which was bipartisan, so it was both R and D. They passed that version, a cheaper version. They purposely split it where you had pre-1998 and post-1998, which basically covers pre and post 9/11. And they were trying to get away with post 9/11 only, which would not give any of us an opportunity to have those presumptives or anything else that comes down the pipe, because we're all pre 9/11. And what the House did was they denied that bill that did pass in Senate, both bipartisan, but they denied it and said, no, we've got a better plan. But because it was all Democrats that backed it, the Republicans, all 174 voted against it.
Right.
And it's a shame. It's an absolute shame.
I think 30 Republicans did vote.
Yes. I agree.
But here's the thing that gets me. It's like, so when my grandchildren say, hey, Pop, I want to go in the military. Let me tell you what they're going to do. They're not going to care if you go to war. Is that what they want us to tell our children and our grandchildren? I mean,
that's exactly what I've been telling them on Twitter. I said, you know what? I won't tell a single person I meet, go join the military, because you're going to wind up having a draft, because you're going to have a whole generation of younger military members that finally got fed up with it, got out, or have died off because of cancers or whatever else is going on, and they weren't covered through presumptives or anything else. And you're going to have them tell their children and their cousins and their nephews and everybody else, nephews, nieces, whoever, everybody else, don't join the military. You're just going to wind up being like me and wind up riddled with problems, and you're going to die early. And then they're going to have to draft people, and this nation drafting would be a great comedy sketch to watch.
All right. I mean, I was over there thinking, okay, is that old saying, Uncle Sam? What was it? Not what you can do for your country, but what your country can do for you? Or is it not? I was like, man, is this crap ass backwards or what? I mean, that's like, come on, guys, like, wake up. Like, we need to get rid of all political and just do the right thing.
Take care of our people.
Take care of our people. Not just
you got a small group of people that do more than other people did, and they should be respected for that. Yes.
Yes.
Go
ahead.
I was just going to say, and I've seen things from both sides because I've been married to a soldier and I've been one. And another thing that's
Hey, that's Mitch. That's Mitch. His fault.
I
Hopefully not that
noticed,
soldier.
yeah. I remember, I think that's another thing that people aren't as aware of, and it's getting a little bit better, but it's still pretty bad, is like, my father was Navy, and there were times we would both have to go to the VA for something, and we would walk in and they would all pay attention to him and thank him for his service.
Say shit.
And it's like, you know what? Fucking women serve too.
That's right.
And I actually have a t-shirt that I wear a lot because I work part-time at the VA. And I wear a t-shirt that says, "Not every GI is a Joe." and it's just crazy to me, the fact that even now, like, women don't recognize women the way they do men in the military or as veterans.
I agree with you 100%. I agree with that.
Well, our VFW, Tiffany, my wife was also a soldier. She was 31Q, just like us, radio operator, turbo operator. And she, whenever the VFW says, "Hey, we need to get some more family members in the auxiliary. Hey, does your wife want to be a auxiliary member?" And I said, and I'll tell them, "You realize my wife did the exact same job I did. The only exception is she didn't serve in a combat zone and I did. Why would she want to be in the auxiliary when she, was a soldier just like I was?"
Right.
It doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, women are not completely, but women are overlooked. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And it needs to be, we need to be cognizant of it. We need to be aware of it because we fail. We fail at so many things. And Kevin, I don't want to harp on this, but going back to MST, homeless veteran women are the highest, the quickest growing rate of veterans that are homeless right now. And they're women that have been abused in the service, MST, and they couldn't find, not a solution, but it was swept under the rug. It wasn't taken care of. Yeah. It wasn't addressed. And these women have, mental issues that are going to, haunt them for the rest of their lives. So now they're living on the streets, and they're more vulnerable now than they were in the military, but they, they're safe. They're away from that dangerous place. This should have been a place where there's camaraderie. Tiffany and I, we were buddies, and, we were buddies in a sense that number one, we took care of one another, and we drank and partied. Absolutely. We drank and partied and had a great time. But we respected boundaries. If somebody said, "Nope, I'm not into that," you stop, and you didn't do any, there are boundaries, and we all have to respect those boundaries. And when it doesn't happen and women are harmed, it winds up much, much worse. And I know I'm not saying anything very eloquent, and I apologize, but it's something that's very passionate to me. And I see it. And that's why I told my two girls, I have two girls. I told both of them, I don't want you to join the military. I would have loved for them to join the military because I believe in service to my country.
Right.
But I don't want them to have MST for some asshole that gets drunk with her and thinks they can do whatever they want to,
I agree with that.
Right. Well, and like when we were when I was at KKMC, I was the only female where I was. I mean, I went into a signal program that was, 99% men, and I was the only female there. I was 18. I mean, I was young, but thank God I'm spunky, and I'm an asshole, Jeff. And so I never really went through the problems, and I think they just always thought I was one of the guys. But I've talked to vets at the VA and stuff, and the things they've gone through is being women. I'm just like, wow. I just feel blessed I didn't go through any of it.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's a great statement. I mean, I look back and, the females on our ship, I talk to all of them till today, like, I will tell you one thing though. Don't you ever tell your wife that was the best 4 years of your life. Oh, man, did I get my butt chewing. I mean, and she's like, so your kids, your marriage? And I'm like,
It's not the same.
I know.
See,
Yeah,
that's where it goes into that thing of, if you haven't been there, you just don't understand.
Well, somebody explained it to her at a reunion. So I was like, oh, thank goodness. I was going to be in that doghouse for a long time. But y'all got anything else y'all would like to add?
I think I'm good.
And
Mitch, you've been quiet.
I think he took a nap too.
But hey, I appreciate each and every one of y'all for coming on. And I mean, it was a pleasure. And
Anytime. Thank you.
thank
Yeah,
y'all.
thank you.
No, thank y'all.
Thanks.
It's great to hear these stories. But y'all have a wonderful evening. And Blaine, next time I see you, the beard.
Write it up.
Bring it up.
The beard.
Can do.
I mean, Sid, he cut all this off to do this. You didn't even, I mean, just saying. That's right. So.
All right.
Thank y'all, Tiffany, Jeffrey, everybody, Mitch. It was very nice meeting y'all. Y'all have a great evening.
You
All
too.
right,
Thank
take
you.
care.
See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Y'all please go to my website at goal4sideeffects.wordpress.com or email me at kevinsimon@goal4sideeffects.com. And please help support this podcast and the veterans by clicking on the link below. Thank you for your support.